There are certain moments that many of you are familiar with when I talk about certain topics. I try to give a different perspective or perhaps something uncommon, not because I want to be against the grain or play devil's advocate, but I do joke about it when I say I'm being schizo, right? And I use that lightly, not intended to be offensive, because it's sort of internet culture where if someone has odd beliefs or unusual thought patterns, we call it schizo. We don't really think they're literally schizophrenic, but we do find certain ideas to be very different from what's usually expressed. I feel there's an archetype of people, the schizotypal archetype, or some people pronounce it schizotypal. I'll say schizotypal since it's easier for some people. Now, if you don't know what that is, that's actually a personality disorder where somebody is usually said to have social anxiety, distorted or magical thinking. Their beliefs are very odd. The way they present themselves, like how they speak or dress, is very unusual. There's a picture on the screen right now of me talking about this, like, if you need a visual representation. Now, I find this to be odd because I don't see why this needs to be labeled a disorder. Let me just preface that I'm no psychologist, but I like to point out from observation and experience of living through life so far, at least, especially through my own mental health challenges and dealing with other people, what we've done as humans is literally create consistent superstitious beliefs. What human beings define as normal and abnormal is often subjective, if not entirely manufactured. Proof of concept, many things that weren't okay 30 years ago is now okay in 2025. I'm sure you could think of many things, right? As society grows and adapts, we determine what is considered abnormal thinking or unusual perception. Now, I'm showing one infographic right here. Right now, if you didn't see it, I think most of these things that you see on screen, I think it applies to many people. I mean, would you call them mentally ill? I mean, would you say they have a personality disorder? But, I don't feel like, why I don't feel that way? I don't feel like there's something wrong with them because social behaviors have changed. Social norms have changed where, people tend to be more anxious. People tend to be more themselves. Not everyone goes outside anymore. You know what I'm saying? And here's a common, here's another information chart, right? This one compares schizophrenia, schizotypal, and schizoid. As you can see, the typal one, it just looks like, if you read it from a surface level, somebody who simply has social anxiety and maybe isn't too experienced dealing with people, maybe because they haven't had a lot of friends, to call it a disorder is very interesting to me. Now, the thing is, let's just say this, right? Is it necessarily wrong to be this way? I mean, because when we watch the phrase or label personality disorder get added to it, it has a negative stigma. It implies someone is dysfunctional, abnormal for society, or something that potentially needs to be, quote, fixed, right? Got to go to therapy. You need taking meds, bro. You know what I'm saying? I don't think there's anything wrong with having unusual thought patterns. In the case where only those thoughts aren't destructive or harmful to yourself or another person, people often forget that unconventional or unusual thinking, where it may be something mystical or eccentric or even deeply introspective, it has heavily influenced history in the most amazing ways. It has created discoveries, philosophies, and even if you're an artist in some way, music, drawing, whatever, the greatest thinkers in this world are inventors, visionaries. But, this was weird. Unless they're successful, like they're rich or famous or both, we don't tend to add those various psychological labels. I feel like if we lived if we lived in the past where we were around certain great artists or philosophers or revolutionaries or mystics you read in a history book or you learned about on Wikipedia, and you read how great they are and everything, and our social norms, if we lived back then and our social norms were active as it is now, but it was like that back then, we would definitely call them mentally ill. There's no way we wouldn't. Yet these people, their unconventional thoughts, though unsettling at times, nobody's perfect, later, those thoughts proved to be groundbreaking information. I remember when Chief Keef first came out, I had to be in high school or middle school. Everyone thought this dude was retarded. That drill type of music, Man, look at hip hop today. Now people consider Chief Keef as one of the goats. Like I remember in art class, we learned about Vincent van Gogh. People worship this guy. This dude cut off his hair. People thought his art was trash. This nigga sucks. Then now people almost look at Vincent van Gogh like his art is some sort of divine gift. And I'm not saying that's bad, by the way. I'm saying that, like, I'm not hating on him. I don't think it's trash. You know, people thought it was trash. I'm just saying it just shows that when someone tries to do stuff different, or they think unusual, or it doesn't fit the norm, we are quick to make a fuss about it. Then we end up thinking they're a genius because they were different. We just dismiss that this dude was unstable because, I mean, totally people just casually decide to slice their hair off, right? We dismiss how he's unstable because now contemporaries feel like he's a genius. People think Chief Keef is a genius. Hey, I don't know him personally, so I can't speak if he is or not, but he definitely did something different. And if you don't like the Chief Keef example, think of any musical artist, right? Again, context matters. If your unusual thinking is distressful to yourself or harms other people, then maybe something needs to be addressed about that. The real issue is the mindset. Society will always be uncomfortable with somebody who doesn't follow the norms. Instead, representing somebody with unusual thoughts as schizotypal. We have to question first, and are their thoughts that they're having, are they objectively wrong? Or are we just going to get mad and emotional because it's unpredictable and not the norm? These unpredictable thoughts do challenge what people aren't comfortable with. And I mentioned something earlier. I said that I feel like human beings created a world filled with delusion. We created our own superstitions, right? Listen, certain belief systems or ideologies or political social norms we believe is okay, even though you can also make an argument that these same things are objectively wrong at the same time. You could go to different countries. They'll tell you what's going on across the world is completely wrong, back and forth. You know what I'm saying? Look, it's like what people say. This is one big psyop. Or let's say what the quote schizo say. We're in a matrix, right? Whatever. Hey, society is structured to reward conformity. If you don't conform, you get a medical classification. Again, context matters. What's sad is that when you give people these medical classifications, right? People don't forget that, you know? If they believe it enough or it affects them enough, like, oh, you got diagnosed with this and that, they will feel internally like something is fundamentally broken with them. Rather, they may feel alienated. They might have self-doubt because when you keep having your own thoughts and you know you're a bit weird or unusual, right? Or, you know, you feel like you're kind of schizo, you start thinking, dang, I'm probably being stupid. My ideas don't make any sense. Something's wrong with me. Something's wrong with my brain, the way I think. And, you know, there goes your confidence. And you might even be afraid to make decisions on your own or do stuff because you keep thinking you're stupid or something. Now, hey, sometimes, hey, it is stupid, okay? But everyone has stupid thoughts. Nobody's perfectly calculated. I've given this advice before about decision making, but use the calculator. Determine if all the plus and all the minuses, positive, negatives of the situation, right? If something has more negatives, high chance you shouldn't do it or even bother, right? But not everyone, including myself, thinks about doing this calculator, okay? Take my own advice sometimes. Look, here's what's so funny about this. This just proves how bad certain ways of thinking are, right? Because if you took any history class, actually, man, you don't even have to be educated to realize this. If you know a single thing about religion, the individuals who were unusual thinkers, people thought they were gifted, not stupid or broken. Shamans, mystics, clerics, prophets, these people walking around earth talking about all this weird stuff. And we're like, oh my God, no pun intended. Bro just thought outside the box. He must be a god. He must be super blessed or prophetic. And yo, do just think outside the box. How's your prophet now? But subjectively speaking, were they wrong? We had a guy wearing gladiator sandals and people rubbing and scrubbing his feet, walking around the desert, preaching and telling people how to live and mentioning something about some Holy Spirit, right? This dude named Jesus had some unusual thoughts based on that time period. Now you got a whole religion based around him. You know what I'm saying? Like the schizotypal archetype. Look, it could be you. It could be me based on what I upload and say. You might think this whole video is an example of it, but allowing access to ways of thinking that certain people aren't comprehending or considering shouldn't be necessarily something to shun. Could there be a connection between thinking unusual or outside the box with higher states of creativity, intuition, maybe even awareness? I wouldn't find it surprising if someone who thinks outside the box tends to be more conscious of certain topics. Like I said in that video about intelligence, I feel true intelligent people always see other sides. It's not, oh, I'm smart and I understand or know this. No, it's, oh, what more perceptions or approaches I can make when going at a certain topic so I can understand every point of view, their arguments and so forth. And then I can make a decision based on the evidence or the research I found. People just see what's going on, what everyone else is doing, and it's like, oh, it must be the right way to do things. To wrap this up, a state of mind doesn't always have to be dismissed as delusional, unstable, schizo, or they constantly need correction. Maybe the real issue is that these individuals aren't inherently disordered. Again, unless harmful in some possible way. But maybe the issue is that we don't know how to integrate these people into society without putting some sort of medical evaluation on them. Sometimes the most schizo people have the best insight, have the best ideas, you know? Anyway, what do y'all think? This episode is found on Spotify and YouTube. Times Square.
Nightmare 7 a.m. in the morning though. No surprise. Times Square's you and I under those lights. No disguise. Don't tell me everything you wanted was a lie. All those city lights, it's an endless night. Never expected you to bring me so much life. Close my eyes too long, then it's time to say goodbye. Let's dance all night until the stars don't show glow. Till the sunrise, then we go solo. Making up for all the times that we were low. Let's make some memories before we do go. Let's dance all night until the stars don't show glow. Till the sunrise, then we go solo. Making up for all the times that we were low. Let's make some memories before we do go. Caution. Wait a moment, keep my heart locked away, it's filled with emotion. Gave the key to you, right in front of you is open. Hey, try your best to not leave it broken. Oh, it's been a while since you know it's frozen. Not the